So the Oscars are tomorrow night, and I just don't care. It's weird. I just don't care this year. It's weird for a lot of reasons. First off, there are a bunch of movies that are nominated this year that I really liked. Belfast, Coda, Dune, West Side Story, King Richard, Nightmare Alley. There are a lot of really good movies that are nominated this year. Some really good performances are nominated. Kristen Stewart, Will Smith, Troy Kutzer. There are a lot of really good performances here. Why do I not care? I don't know. I feel like at this point, a lot of the Oscars just happen so late every year. By the time this ceremony happens, I kind of already know who's going to win. And I also kind of feel like the Oscars just go for the same type of movies every year with the same type of actors, same type of directors. And it's just kind of boring every year. It's just not interesting seeing the same people get nominated every year. And there's definitely needs to be some sort of like reform for the Oscars. But they just need to. I don't want to say they need to nominate better movies. There are definitely some movies here that were completely snubbed, and it's not that I'm upset that they were snubbed. I'm just not surprised anymore. Like they just go for the same type of movies every year, the same type of movies, like biographies, you know, uh, LGBT movies. Very rarely do they have like a movie out there that's like actually really good, like Dune, for instance. But other than that, I just feel like I just don't find myself caring so much this year, and I don't know why. It's weird to me. Will I still watch this show? Well, yeah, and I also have a lot of thoughts about the show coming up. But I'm gonna go through all the nominees, at least the major ones, kind of give some brief thoughts about it, and I'm probably gonna do a video tomorrow ranking all the 10 Best Picture nominees at least. But I'm just I don't know. I'm kind of over it already. I'm just done. Just move on. And also when the Oscar nominations were actually announced back in February, I actually did make a video, but I deleted it because I felt like the video wasn't good enough. So, and I also kind of wanted a little more time to kind of think about the nominees more and think about like why I'm not as invested this year as I have been in other years. And I still can't figure out why. So, anyway, let's move on. So, I'm going to go through all the main categories, go by them, read them off, and I'll give you like who I think should win versus who will win, but all I know is that whoever should win will not win. So let's go on to. Let's just start with the main category, Best Picture. The nominees are Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. This is a category I predicted mostly right. There was a few surprises there, mainly Nightmare Alley. I didn't expect that to be nominated. I'm actually really glad that did get a nomination for Best Picture. Rewatching that movie was really good. Drive My Car was not really that big of a surprise to me. They kind of kept talking about it. So when it was announced as a nominee, I'm like, yeah, that's kind of what the Oscars do. They just nominate movies that nobody's heard of or seen. So moving on to like who I think will win this versus who should win this. I think it's mostly come down to The Power of the Dog and surprisingly Coda of all movies. The Power of the Dog has the most nominations. I think Coda only has like 3 nominations. But I think The Power of the Dog will win this, even though I don't think it's one of the more deserving wins. I would say pretty much anything else deserves it except for Don't Look Up. So, or Licorice Pizza, but whatever. Moving on to Best Director, the nominees are Kenneth Branagh, Belfast, Ryusuke Hamaguchi, Drive My Car. I probably mispronounced his name, unfortunately. Paul Thomas Anderson, Licorice Pizza, Jane Champion, The Power of the Dog, and Steven Spielberg, West Side Story. Uh, there's one big snub here, and that's Denis Villeneuve for Dune. I kind of figured like it was him, Jane Champion, and Kenneth Branagh who were going to be like the main nominees. I kind of figured it was going to come down to Paul Thomas Anderson or Steven Spielberg who would be snubbed. I figured Spielberg was going to be snubbed. No, Spielberg was not snubbed. Really, I don't mind that. Like, West Side Story was a really good movie. He directed the crap out of that movie. Paul Thomas Anderson, though, I love his movies. This was one of those movies that I just did not love personally. So, I wish I would have taken out Paul Thomas Anderson and put in Denis Villeneuve for this. But who I think will win? Jane Champion will win this, unless that controversy that she had a few weeks ago kind of kept her from this. But who I think should win this? I would honestly go with Spielberg, honestly, or Kenneth Branagh even. Both really good, both well-directed movies overall, but they're not going to win, unfortunately. Best Actor, the nominees are Javier Bardem, Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch, The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield, Tick Tick Boom, Will Smith, King Richard, and Denzel Washington, The Tragedy of Macbeth. Will Smith will win this. Who should win this? Will Smith or Andrew Garfield. Those were two of the best performances of the year. Benedict Cumberbatch was fine. Denzel Washington was fine. Javier Bardem was fine. But Will Smith will win. And it's kind of one of those it's their time awards. Like, he's been nominated a few times before, so it makes sense. Just give it to him already. Don't get me wrong, it was a good performance. So I'm not going to complain too much. Best Actress. The nominees are Jessica Chastain, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman, The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz, Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman, Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart for Spencer. I don't know who's going to win this, to be honest, because, like, a lot of the, kind of like last year when every single awards bracket or whatever, they picked a different actress to win Best Actress. And then at the Oscars, Frances McDormand won and was probably the worst performance of the 5 nominees. I don't know who's going to win here. Jessica Chastain could win this because she did win the Screen Actors Guild Award. She also won the Critics' Choice Award. I also don't know. It could go to anyone. It could go to Olivia Colman. It could go to Penelope Cruz. I would love it if it went to Kristen Stewart. Of all these nominees, like, Kristen Stewart and Jessica Chastain were probably the best, surprisingly. I felt like they kind of just disappeared and they kind of became the people that they were portraying, which is very rare. Like, at least with Nicole Kidman, I knew that was still Nicole Kidman just for dressed up as Lucille Ball. But other than that, I think Kristen Stewart should win this. Who will win this? Pretty much anyone could win this, to be honest. Best Supporting Actor. The nominees are Ciarán Hinds, Belfast, Troy Kotsur, Coda, Jesse Plemons, The Power of the Dog, J.K. Simmons, Being the Ricardos, Cody Smith-McPhee, The Power of the Dog. The only major snubs I noticed from this, even though they aren't really snubs to me personally, Bradley Cooper was snubbed for Licorice Pizza. I didn't think that was really that big of a snub. I thought his performance was not necessarily bad, but just kind of lackluster, to be honest. And don't even get me started on Jared Leto and House of Gucci. He was awful. I'm sorry. So, as far as who I think will win this, Troy Kotsur will win this. I think he really deserves it. Also, I think he should win this. I thought he was the best performance out of all these actors. Best Supporting Actress. The nominees are Jessie Buckley, The Lost Daughter, Ariana DeBose, West Side Story, Judi Dench, Belfast, Kirsten Dunst, The Power of the Dog, and Aunjanue Ellis for King Richard. Just why? Don't get me wrong, there are some good nominees here. Ariana DeBose, Kirsten Dunst, Aunjanue Ellis. Good. But why is Jessie Buckley there? Not that she was bad. It makes more sense than Judi Dench's nomination. Of all the adults in Belfast, I thought Judi Dench was the worst of them all. And I kind of feel like that should have gone to her co-star, Katrina Balfe. Also, there are a couple other snubs here. Marlee Matlin for Coda, Cate Blanchett for Nightmare Alley. I do think that Ariana DeBose will probably win this. Who should win this? Ariana DeBose or Aunjanue Ellis. I thought they were both really good in their movies, in their performances. And it'll be really interesting to see Ariana DeBose win, if she does win, because, you know, Rita Moreno portrayed the same role in West Side Story. She played Anita in that movie as well. And it'd be really interesting to see, like, 60 years later, another actress does this part, and she wins for the same role. So I think that would be interesting to see. Best Original Screenplay. The nominees are Belfast, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, The Worst Person in the World. I have not seen that last one, because I live in a town where foreign movies don't even show up here. Like, I just saw Drive My Car in a theater last week. So, actually yesterday. But anyway, moving on. Who I think should win this versus who will win this. I think Belfast should win this. Who will win this? I think Belfast will win this. I just don't want Don't Look Up to win, to be honest. I don't know. I don't want that to win. And it did win the Writers Guild Award. I think Belfast has won a bunch of other awards that kind of makes me think, oh, it's probably going to win the Oscar here. And I wouldn't mind it, to be honest, and gives Belfast at least one award. So, moving on. Best Adapted Screenplay, we have Coda, Drive My Car, Dune, The Lost Daughter, and The Power of the Dog. The only major snub here is West Side Story. I would have replaced that with, say, honestly, I would go with Dune. I'm honestly surprised Dune actually got a nomination for screenplay. Not that the screenplay was bad. I'm just surprised that a movie like that, on that scale, actually got a screenplay nomination when movies like that, on that scale, usually don't. So that's really interesting. It won't win. Power of the Dog will win, and I don't know. I think either Coda, Dune, or The Lost Daughter should win this. I I didn't love the Power of the Dog, to be honest. Well acted, well made, but I just couldn't connect with it, to be honest. Best animated feature film. The nominees are Encanto, Flea, Luca, The Mitchells vs. the Machines, Raya and the Last Dragon. Encanto will win this. Who should win this? Either Encanto, Mitchells vs. the Machines, or Raya and the Last Dragon. Um, yeah, it always goes to Disney movies no matter what. Mitchells vs. the Machines is a Netflix movie, but still. Best international feature film, we have Drive My Car from Japan, Flee from Denmark, The Hand of God from Italy, Lunana, a Yak in the Classroom from Bhutan, and The Worst Person in the World from Norway. Drive My Car will win this because it's the only one nominated for Best Picture, and that's normally how it goes. Can't really judge that category because the only one I have seen is Drive My Car, but other than that, I can't really judge it based on anything else. So, Best Original Score, the nominees are Don't Look Up, Dune, Encanto, Parallel Mothers, and The Power of the Dog. I think Dune will win this, and I think it should win this. I thought the score was excellent in that movie. Best Original Song, the nominees are Be Alive from King Richard, Dos Oruguitas, I'm probably mispronouncing that, Encanto, Down to Joy from Belfast, No Time to Die from No Time to Die, and Somehow You Do from 4 Good Days. No Time to Die will win this, and who should win this? Probably No Time to Die. I thought that was probably the best song. It's the only one that I can remember. But other than that, moving on to Best Sound, the nominees are Belfast, Dune, No Time to Die, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. These are mostly going to be the Dune categories because I just think Dune's going to clean up the visual categories or the technical categories, as I would like to say. Dune should win this category, and it will win this category, to be honest. Best Production Design, Dune, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, West Side Story. I feel like just because I don't want to see Dune win every technical category, I would honestly give this to not West Side Story, Nightmare Alley. I kind of want to see Nightmare Alley win at least something. I don't know how likely it is, but I think Best Production Design is its best odds. So, I think Dune will win, but I think Nightmare Alley should win. Best Cinematography, Dune, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, The Tragedy of Macbeth, West Side Story. I don't know. I think either Dune or The Power of the Dog will win this. Dune or Nightmare Alley should win this. Also, I wouldn't mind if West Side Story won this. Looking back on it, that movie was beautifully shot. So, moving on to Best Makeup and Hairstyling, we have Coming to America. Why? Cruella, Dune, The Eyes of Tammy Faye, House of Gucci. Honestly, I'm not going to be surprised if Eyes of Tammy Faye wins. The way they did Jessica Chastain's makeup, that was really impressive. So I'm not going to be really that surprised if it does win. I think it should win. What will win? I don't know. I think House of Gucci or Eyes of Tammy Faye will win this. Best Costume Design nominees are Cruella, Cyrano, Dune, Nightmare Alley, West Side Story. I kind of think Cruella should win this, to be honest. I didn't love that movie, but at least the costumes were at least interesting. So I'll give it that. I think it should win this. Who will win this? I don't know. Probably Cruella. Best Film Editing. The nominees are Don't Look Up, Dune, King Richard, The Power of the Dog, Tick Tick Boom. I think Dune will win this category, and it should win this category. Best Visual Effects. The nominees are Dune, Free Guy, No Time to Die, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, and Spider-Man No Way Home. I would love to see Spider-Man No Way Home win this because, it was the biggest movie in a long time. And I guess, from what I heard, all the visual artists had to basically work nonstop just to make sure it was complete, it was ready. So I would like to see their work honored with this. But Dune's probably going to win this. Dune will win this, but Spider-Man No Way Home should win this. So, moving on to how I feel about this ceremony as a whole, there's a lot of things that I just don't like about this ceremony that kind of just drive me crazy. First off, we have the whole Oscar fan favorite which is basically an Oscar for a fan favorite movie moment. I'm all for like trying to get, general audiences into shows like this, but I feel like this is just pandering. I feel like this is just not worth it, to be honest. And I don't know. I don't think it's gonna work out very well. Also, they've cut several of they cut several of the awards from the show. They're gonna present them like the hour before and show them in the show. I remember they were gonna do that a few years back, but because of the backlash, they were like, okay, we won't do that anymore. And they're going to do it now. What changed in the 3 years that made people think, maybe we should try that again? Nope. I think it's a bad idea. The only thing I don't mind, honestly, is the short categories being presented early. It's not that I think they don't deserve it, but more like, I don't know. I just feel like it feels like it could have been at like a smaller ceremony rather than a big ceremony, to be honest. But other than that, I just don't understand why they think it's a good idea to actually go like, hey, we're gonna present some of the smaller categories like an hour before to try to shorten this thing. You know what would be a better way to shorten this whole ceremony? If, you didn't do pointless songs, you didn't do pointless montages, you didn't do pointless things, do pointless jokes. Just saying. You could do it. You just don't want to. And as far as like the hosts go, like they have three hosts this year. They have Regina Hall, Amy Schumer, Wanda Sykes. Um, these just feel like the three most random people that they could have thought of for this show. Like, don't get me wrong, Regina Hall, I always thought she was underrated. I loved her since Scary Movie. But Amy Schumer, why? I don't know. It's like looking at it now, like they wanted to have Tina Fey, Amy Poehler, Maya Rudolph co-host maybe. That would have been interesting to see. Or Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez because they were on that TV show. That would have been interesting to see too. But we got three people who probably never worked together at any point until Oscar Sunday. So, also, I just also like looking at the presenters right now for this ceremony. Most of these admittedly do make sense. Like, you have some of the winners from last year, like Daniel Kaluuya and Anthony Hopkins. You have a bunch of other people: Kevin Costner, Jamie Lee Curtis, Woody Harrelson, Jake Gyllenhaal, Samuel L. Jackson. Those presenters make sense. Like, there's a bunch of people here that make sense. There's just a bunch of people that don't make sense. Like, a lot of musicians are presenting. Like, Sean Combs is presenting. DJ Khaled is presenting. Why? That makes no sense. Also, you have a bunch of athletes presenting. Like, you have Tony Hawk presenting. You have Shaun White presenting. Why? Like, why are they? What are they doing there? It makes no sense to me. The only athletes I will be okay with is are Venus and Serena Williams because King Richard is a nominee, and it makes sense that they're there. But other than that, why? Just why? Is it because no one actually wants to do this? Because I wouldn't want to do this. Oh my god. I honestly think this whole show is going to be a disaster. I just think the hosts are not really going to work together. I think that this just seems like a jumbled mess that was basically the cause of their own stupidity. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to hate on the Oscars. I'm just trying to be like, what are you doing? I just want to go up to them and be like, what are you doing? Like, what are you thinking? Like, what were you thinking with the nominees, the show, the presenters? Like, nothing about this is going to work, is it? Why is it that the Oscars present the awards for the best in film and yet always provide the worst in television every year? I don't know. I don't even know why I continue to be excited for them. And this is the first year in a long time that I can remember where I was just not excited for anything. Again, there are a bunch of movies that are nominated that I do like, but I just think I'm just over it. I'm just over it. So, I'm just I've done ranting at this point. Those are my thoughts on the nominees. Those are my thoughts on the show. I'm gonna try to do a ranking video tomorrow of the best picture nominees from my least favorite to my favorite. And I want this show to be good. Just everything about it says it's not. So, what are your picks about? What do you think of the Oscars? What are your predictions for Oscar Sunday? Comment down below, subscribe to the channel. This is Pat, and stay safe.